All right. Okay. Right. So good morning, everybody. Right. So this is the business analysis class. Right. So uh, my name is Andrew Agbeja. I will be your trainer for this course. Right. And this will be running for a couple of weeks. So I have a presentation slide here, right, that's going to guide our discussion and this class. Right? I'm guessing this will be provided for you after the class. So right, so the objective of this class, right, is to give you like a full, like a basic full understanding of the business analysis role, right, and what it brings to the organization, the value that it provides for an organization. Right. So by the end of this course, you should be able to have like a better understanding of what the business analysis role is and the value it brings to the organization. Please, I don't know if you can all go on mute, right? Why, so that there won't be distractions or that. Thank you. Right, like I was saying, by the end of this course, you'll be able to have a deep understanding of what the business analysis role is and the value that it brings to an organization. And then you will be able to have a grasp of what's the concept with the BABOK, what it is. So the BABOK is the business analysis body of knowledge that was provided by the IIBA. Right, so we'll get to that later. Right. So before I dive in, let me just introduce myself a little bit. So like I said earlier, my name is Andrew Agbeja. Right, I've been working as a BA for close to half a decade, right? I currently work with Prune Edge as an IT consultant. Right? So I've been a business analyst, but I've been in the IT domain, that is implementing enterprise solutions and software development. So, right. So let me just dive into the course. Right? So introduction. So why business analysis, right? This question has been asked by many people, right? So why do we need business analysis in an organization and maybe in a project or in software development process, right? So according to Advice Skills, business analysis is important for any organization because it helps with identifying all vulnerabilities and issues and helps to implement proper solutions and continuously monitor the result based on data. Right. So as a business analyst, your job in an organization is for change, right? So like an agent of change, right? So you identify how the business works and provide solutions to better processes, right? So you first identify the vulnerabilities and issues with a particular process or a system, for example, right? You do that by analyzing what is currently being done, right, and what the goal of the organization is. Then you also provide solution, right? So from the issue, what are the things that we need to do to work better, right? Then you provide solution and also monitor the results to make sure that the solution provided actually being correctly implemented, right? So I'll move to business analysis fundamentals and key concepts, right? So this will be talking about what is business analysis, who is a business analyst, right? Then the business analysis perspective. Those are the different kind of roles that business analysts play, right, in different, let's say, industries or so. Then the BABOK guide, like I said, business analysis body of knowledge. Then also business analysis core concept model. Then the key terms in business analysis. Then the requirement classification schema. Then we'll move to stakeholders, how you handle your stakeholders, how you communicate with them, and all that, your types of stakeholders. Then we also have the requirements and design. So the first one, what is business analysis? Please stop me if you have questions or if you think I'm going too fast, right? So that I can I can answer your questions, or I can slow down the pace or increase the pace as may arise. So business analysis is a practice that enables change in an organization, right? Enabling change, it means it identifies and articulates the need for change in how organization works, right? So this so what this means is as a business organization, you look at the as a business analyst at the organization, right? You try and analyze what the organization is doing currently, right? If there is an issue or if there is a need for change. For example, let me use the retail industry for an example, right? So the process of sales return, the customer comes to your office, buy something. Now they later change their mind that they want to return it, right? So as a business analyst, if you notice that, if you analyze that process and you notice that that process is not efficient enough, right? You notice that there are some delays, a lot of customer complaint, right? That is what it means by identify and articulate the need for change, right? So also it can also be maybe redefining a strategy, right? For example, a let me see, a restaurant now, a restaurant that's for example Chicken Republic that sells food and the likes, right? They might notice that they have higher costs of procuring raw material. When I mean raw material, I mean the raw rice that they buy, the chicken and all that. So they might change their strategy by owning a farm where they produce rice, or where they rear chicken, right? That is called like a backward integration, right? So those are the kind of change that business analysts try to identify and articulate, right? Then they also define solutions that will maximize the value delivered by an organization to its stakeholders, right? So what this means is, after identifying the need for change, right, you now define a solution. You define a solution that will meet the organization goal, their strategic need, right? That will also help, that will also improve on what is currently being done in an organization, right? So then the second one, a business analyst is a practice that improves strategic and operational initiative, right? So this is done by understanding the current state. Now, the current state is you do a current state assessment of of the business, right? So this, you can do this by talking to different stakeholders. So your stakeholders are the people that are invested in what you do. Let's talk about the management, the middle management guys, the implementation team, and everybody as a whole. It might also be the government, right? So that those are public stakeholders, right? So you talk to your stakeholders. So your stakeholders include, let's say, your management, right? So your management will give you like an high level overview of what the current state is. They don't really know what the workers do, right? Then you also talk to the main workers, so the people that carry out those processes day in day out. They know all the details, right? They will give you the current state, what is currently being done, right? You can also do this current state by observing how this process works, right? Take for example a manufacturing company, how the let's say the manufacturer hold on, let's say the manufacturer like the manufacturer Coke, right? So you go into their factory, you observe how those raw materials are being used, how the process is being carried out, right? This will help you understand from their own point of view and what their current state is, right? You can also do this, carry out your current state assessment by let's say survey, survey or a questionnaire, right? It will be some questions that your stakeholders will answer, right? Based on their response, you'll be able to understand what they do, what they don't do that they should be doing, and what they do that is a waste that they should not be doing, right? So that is how your current state assessment is. Then to improve strategic and operational initiative, you also define the future state. So based on your current state assessment, right, your current state, your understanding of the current state, you'll be able to define what the future state is by, you have to tie that to the strategic goal of the organization, right? You can do this by also talking to the stakeholders, right? Basically, the management, what their goal is, what they want to do with this initiative, right? So, to define your current state, you can do research on solutions, right? On strategic solutions, IT solutions, and all that, right? You can also benchmark based on the market leader. So you have your competitors doing this and they are making, they're the market leader. They have this volume of sales, they have this number of sales in a particular period. What are they doing to get there? Right? Those are the things that you put into your future state. Right. So usually when this is done, when this is done, Usually, when this is done, this is documented and validated. This is documented and validated by the stakeholders. So those people that are involved in organizing this current state and this future state, right? So now the next thing to do is, after defining your current state, you will notice that there is a gap between what you have currently and what you want to achieve, right? So that is called like a gap analysis, something like that, right? So you determine the activities that is required to move from your current state to your future state. You determine the activity that is required to move from your current state to your future state. So what it means is, this is basically let's say project management, right? So you have to define what needs to be done, what needs to be set up for this initiative to be implemented. Yeah. So to do this, you can also rank each of those initiatives by their criticality, by how critical they are to the business. So example of this is, imagine you have an organization that is operating basically paper based, right? They don't have any IT solution or anything, right? So now, as an initiative, your future state is moving their paper based to a cloud solution, for example, right? You also want to be able to deploy a, let's say, business intelligence or data management software, right? So looking at those two things, the first thing that is more important and critical to the organization is moving their operation to a cloud base, right? If you don't do that, there is no need to implement a business intelligence solution or a data software solution, right? So I don't know if there's any question. If there's none, I will. If there's any, just let me know. If there's none, I will just go ahead. Right. So, who is a business analyst, right? So, a business analyst is anyone who performs business analysis activity, right? So, no matter your job title or organization role, right? So, there are some roles that how would I call it? That some of the things that they do, right, is part of what a business analyst will do, right? So a business analyst discovers, synthesizes, analyzes information from a variety of sources, right? So initially, when I was talking about defining your current state, right, I mentioned doing talking my stakeholders meeting, right, to define your current state. Like that's meeting the management, and also the users or the business stakeholders. It also involves you carrying out a survey, right? So those are the different variety of sources that you have to analyze your information from, right? Because, for example, speaking to a stakeholder, right, might give you some confusing opinions, some confusing things about how the process works, right? But doing a survey or going to a factory to watch them do how they work can give you exactly how they do things, right? So those kind of information are what you analyze to get to perform your business analysis job, right? So a business analyst also elicits stakeholders' needs. Now, what that means is understanding what, like a pain point in an organization. A need can also be an opportunity that needs to be achieved, right? Investigate and clarify desires and expectation. Right? So during your communication with the stakeholders, you need to understand what their expectation is. You also need to set their expectation so that they won't just think, let's say it's magic, right? So you need to set their expectation on what will be delivered, like the scope of what is going to be delivered, right? Then you need to seek to understand issues and underlying causes, right? So when there are issues that are reported or when there are, let's say, opportunities, right? So, for example, those issues, you need to understand what the root is, right? What causes this issue? How was it done? Like replicating those issues to be able to understand how this happened before providing a solution to it. Right. A business analyst also aligns designs and delivers solutions with business stakeholders. Does this by understanding enterprise problems and goals, analyzes solution needs and solution, right? Devises strategy, drives and enables changes, then facilitates stakeholders collaboration. So like I said there, this first point mentioned, like no matter the job title or organization role, so far you are carrying out that business analysis role, which brings us to this, like the other common business analyst job titles. Right? When you look at this, you sometimes you would think is not related to what a business analyst is supposed to be doing, right? But when you go deeply into what each of these roles, each of these job titles, what they do, what their job role is, you'll see that most of their role is similar to what a business analyst does. It might not be everything that the business analyst is supposed to be doing, but it's related to what they're supposed to be doing. So now we have business analysis perspective, right? Hold on, sorry. We have business analysis perspective, right? So business analysis perspective is it helps business analysts focus on techniques and tasks that are applicable to the context of a specific initiative, right? So this perspective are used within business analysis work to provide focus to task techniques specific to context of initiative. So this business analysis perspective was is listed in the BABOP guide. So the BABOP guide is a business analysis body of knowledge. It is like a guide for business analysts. It contains everything that a business analyst does, how they should do it, and the global standards, right? So this business analysis perspective is, let's say, segmenting the role of business analyst, right? Segmenting them into different different focuses, right? So the first one, we have the agile perspective. I know some of you will be familiar with what agile is and all that, right? So the agile perspective focuses on approach used in discovering requirements, develop and test solution through collaborative effort of self-organized cross-functional teams and business stakeholders. So what this means is Agile perspective, right, is there is different project management methodology, right? So Agile perspective is one of them, right? Agile perspective is a way where a project management tool, like an approach that is different from the traditional approach, right? So here the way you discover requirement is different from the way you do it in the traditional sense, right? The way you develop and test your solution, right, is different, right? So let me give you an example. In traditional approach, when you are developing your solution, when you are testing them and all that, this is not carried out in some sort of collaborative effort. It is done what how it is done in isolation of the development team, right? So they develop it, in the traditional sense, they develop the solution, they test it and all that, right? They finish everything they want to do before including the stakeholders. That is what the agile perspective, that is what the traditional perspective does, right? But the agile perspective, right, it develop and test solution through collaborative efforts. It means that both the business stakeholders are let's say the managers, the management, right? The subject matter experts in an organization, right? The business people working in collaboration with the initiative development team, right? So which means that every solution that is being delivered, the business stakeholders are being carried along, right? So in project management, Agile is an iterative approach to project management and software development. Right. So in Agile, there are some guiding principles that guide Agile perspective. One is customer satisfaction is in the highest priority. Right. So what do they mean by customer satisfaction? Your customers can be your internal stakeholders. Let's say you are a business analyst working for an organization, like let's say a financial institution, right? The people that you work with are your stakeholders, both your development team and also the business team that needs the solution, right? So that means your business team are your customers, and their satisfaction is of highest priority. That is why a collaborative effort is advised in agile perspective, right? Then in agile perspective, the changes in requirements is welcome, right? So even at the end of a project, there might be changes in requirement. This is welcome, and this is supposed to be implemented as opposed to what it was before, right? Then a delivery of working software frequently, right? So what this means is instead of having documentation on where the project is, or where the initiative that is being implemented, where it is, a working solution that will guide, that will tell the stakeholders, right, that this project is at this stage, right? So that is what agile advises. Right. So then working software is primary measures of progress. This is also like the same thing to what I said last. Right. So working software in Agile, you develop bit by bit. You take you take your requirements, right? You develop them bit by bit with the business stakeholders involved, right? This will serve as a primary measure of progress. Right? So then I will be moving to the business intelligence side, right? So the business intelligence, right? This is for a business analyst. This is a perspective that that focuses on how data is being used in an organization, right? How the organization make use of its data, how it makes business or strategic decision based on the data and information that the organization can generate. Right? So the BI includes all the strategies and technology used by the company to analyze business information data, right? Such as the historical, current, and predictive insights of operations, reports, online analytical processing, analysis, dashboard development, data mining, process management, business performance, and benchmarking. Right. So the focus of the BI is changing the data into enhanced information, right? This also includes where to get the data from, right? So in an organization, you have data and information being produced every day as the employees are working or everybody's working in the organization. You produce information, you produce data, right? So a business analyst is saying, where do we get this data from? How do we merge this data together, right, to be able to form something meaningful, right? Then how is the data improved, right? Like cleaning the data, making sure that your data is standardized, right? Then how to deliver it as analytical insight to help with business decision making, right? So using information and data throughout the organization by setting up a single point of truth. Like a single point of truth is let me say a repository where you have data that have been standardized, that have been clean, that are clean, and that are readily usable for business insights and decision making, right? So this includes merging numerous data sources, right? Also including the one outside the organization, furnishing it and being the foundation of a BI solution in an organization. So in a nutshell, business intelligence leverages software and services to transform data into actionable insights that inform an organization's strategic and tactical business decisions. So all of this perspective, right, we are still going to go into them deeper later, not in this class, but in a later class, right? We are going to go deeper into them and explain them in details what they are and how a business analyst can take advantage of each of these perspectives. So the third perspective is the business architecture perspective. So the business architecture perspective, it represents the multidimensional business views and organizational structure and its relationships. Right? So the business architecture, it covers the entire enterprise, like an entire organization, right? It's like it provides like a big picture of what the organization is, right? Like a combination of different business processes, how it adds to the value of the organization, right? Talking about the finance, the sales, marketing, operations, and all that. Like it provides like a big view picture of the organization, right? So it includes business strategy, right? Business capability, the value stream, the business knowledge, and organization view. So business architecture is a general description of a system. It defines its purpose, vital functions, active element, and critical processes, and also defines the nature of interaction among them. Hmm. So, like I said earlier, it provides a big picture of how the different projects, the processes, and the information fit into organizational objectives. Right? So, the business architecture perspective, it splits the business needs into different functions. Right? You know, earlier on I was talking about having the finance department, having the sales department, right? Having the human resource department and all that. So business architecture give you a blueprint on how all these processes, all these business functions, how they fit in, right? how they fit in for the organization, right? For better understanding and its effect on the company. So I don't know if we have any question now, at least to show that we are following this class. Hello, can anybody hear me? Feels like I've been talking to myself. So
We can hear you.
okay. So should I assume that there's no?
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I said we can hear you, sir.
All right, all right. So should I assume that there is no question? Though that is concerning. Though. Okay. So I will assume that there is no question. I will move on to the next perspective, right? Which is the information
We
technology
can hear you,
perspective.
sir.
Yeah, I got that, sir. So the information technology perspective, right? So this is a business system, the business analysis perspective as it pertains to information technology, right? So this deals with an organization's strategy when it comes to information technology. What software to use, what hardware to use to to help the organization, right? So it's commonly used as a synonym for operation related to computer hardware and software. However, it is extensive and covers any information system and its related technology, such as electronics, semiconductors, the internet, telecommunication, and e-commerce. Right. So, as a business analyst, uh, working in let's say an IT sector, right? So, as a business analyst, you will need to have working in the IT sector. You need to have some technical skills, right? Like understand some technical skills and be able to use them, right? So, when an organization is implementing a software, right, the role a business analyst play is first analyzing the need of that information technology of the IT solution they're trying to implement, why the organization need it, and what is currently being done. Right, that is a business analyst role. One of the key roles that you need to understand. They need to get requirements. Understanding requirements will give you an understanding of let's say the scope of the project, right? It also give you a breakdown of everything that needs to go into the software, right? It's like a blueprint to what must be developed and what must be implemented, right? A business analyst work is to do that. Now, a business analyst is work in an IT perspective is also analyzing these systems, right? Going to the systems as the functional part of the system, right? Checking the functionalities to make sure that each of those functionalities are what was asked for, are what is written in the requirement, and none is missing. Right. This will help. This is like a minute testing. Right. In some organization, a business analyst also work as a tester, like a functional tester. Right. So the information technology perspective focuses on the attributes of business analysis when influenced by changes in information technology system. So I'll move to the last perspective, which is the business process management perspective. Right. So before I dive deep, there are business analysts in an organization that their job role is business process analyst. So their major job is to uh, analyze the current processes of the organization and providing solutions to improve them. It doesn't necessarily have to be a software solution or anything. It might just be a written down standard operating procedure, right? and preferring solutions. Maybe there are issues somewhere, right, or confusion or stuff, right? So a business process analyst focuses on that. So looking at the business process management perspective, right, is a discipline used to discover, right, model, analyze, measure, improve, optimize, and automate business processes, right? So I'll take this one after the other, right? So discovering a business process is doing a current state assessment of uh, of of the scope of the business process that you're trying to measure, right? So you understand each of the functions, right? Speak to stakeholders to get how they work, right? What sort of processes do they take to get to finish their task, right? That is called a discovery session. You organize a discovery session with stakeholders. Then you model these processes, right? So modeling these processes is just a pictorial description of what the process is. So this you can use a flow chart or a business process modeling, right, to model those process flow. This is just to give an understanding, right? Let everybody understand what this process is, what is done in this department or in this function, right? So now you analyzing this process. You analyze this process to understand what the future process should be, right? Then you can either improve the process or and optimize them, right? Improving the process or optimizing them include removing bottlenecks, right? Looking at the process, looking at things that are called waste, right? Things that are taking time to complete, things that are done wrongly, right? So that is what improving or optimizing is. So by doing that, you are able to get what the optimized business process should be, right? Which is an improvement upon what is previously been done. Now, measuring this thing is when you measure the future process is knowing how let's say how efficient the current process is, right? Now, automating the business process is pertaining to let me say software, and you have to have a software, implement a software and some things like that to automate your business processes, right? To automate your business processes, you have to do all these things that you have done initially, right? Then also implement a software to automate the business process. So the business process management, it is used for business with a process-centric view as an ongoing effort within its management and operation. The business process management perspective focuses on distinct aspects of the business analysis when it is performed in the context of business process management. So that is all about the business analysis perspective for now. Right. So in subsequent class, we are going to go deeper into each of these perspectives to understand how a business analyst in this industry and this perspective work and what they do, their tools and what they do, right? So the next thing is what a Babok guide is, right? Like I said earlier, a Babok guide is a business analysis body of knowledge, right? So a Babok guide is globally recognized, right? It's like a global standard for business analysis practice, right? You in the Babok guide, you have all the tools, right? All the tools, all the strategy that you might need to perform your business analysis work. So a Babok guide, according to IIBA, so IIBA is the International Institute of Business Analysts, right? The Babok guide is a globally recognized standard for the practice of business analysis, guiding professionals in their work and adopted by enterprises to achieve better outcomes. It was issued by the IIBA, right, attempting to reflect current best practices and to provide a framework that describes the areas of knowledge with associated activities and tasks and technique related. Right. So, what is the purpose of the bubble guide? So, like I said earlier, its primary purpose is to guide and to define the profession of a business analysis. Right. So, it's just a guide. It's not to be followed. It is not like to cram the strategies in it and try to implement it. So it's just to guide your day-to-day work, right? It serves as a baseline that practitioners can agree upon in order to discuss the work they do and to ensure that they have the skills they need to effectively perform the role. Right. So the BABOK also defines the skills and knowledge that people who work with an employed business analyst should expect a skilled practitioner to demonstrate. Right? It is a framework that describes the business analyst task. Right. So what this is talking about is in each of the projects that you are on that you are taking, right? The Bible guide describes the tasks that must be performed, right, in each of those projects, right? Right, in order to understand how a solution will deliver value to the sponsoring organization. You form those task takes, the order they are performed in, the relative importance of those tasks, and other things may vary, but each task contributes in some fashion, directly or indirectly to the overall goal. So you can go to IIBS site and get a copy, like a soft copy of the verbal guide. It's going to guide you in your daily business analysis role in each of the tasks that you perform. So, right, that is the end of the slides, right? So, in our next class, we are going to be discussing the business. We are going to go deeper into this class. We are going to be discussing about the business analysis core concept model, right? The key terms in business analysis, right? The requirements classification schema, right? Then your stakeholders, how you handle your stakeholders and all that, then requirements and design. So I would like somebody to ask a question actually, so that I'll be sure that we all understand what we have done in this class. Right. Hello. Hello. Please, I need a response. Oh.
I don't really hear the lecture very well because my network has been coming and breaking and breaking. So I don't really get. I just joined when he said the Babcock.
Oh, oh, oh.
But I've lost. Honestly,
Sorry about
I
that.
don't know. So there.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so
So there will be a recording at the end of this class that
okay,
the link has been dropped in the group chat, so you can just access the training.
thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So are there any other question? So this class is supposed to be for 2 hours, right? But we have been able to cover the slides in about an hour or so. So if there are no questions, I think we might just call it a day till this time next week again.
Sorry, good morning.
Yeah,
Okay, good morning. For my own side, I don't really
yeah.
have any question, but to me, I feel the terminologies that we are using are high for me. Like, I didn't
Oh,
really get so much. That's why I really don't have any question. So I don't know if we can do maybe a class, maybe like a pre-class to maybe brush us up on some things that we are supposed to know.
Okay, like definition of terminologies, right? I guess.
Yes, so we can
All right.
have a general understanding of what business analysis is all about.
Okay.
For
All right. So I will try and include that in our next class, right? So maybe
okay,
we'll do that before we go into the class
okay,
itself.
thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, are there any other question? Okay. So, if those are the only questions, I think we can just call it a day. Oh, so there is this question from Adeolu Gbadebo. How can one add value to the business and detect fraud? Right. So I understand the first part of the question. How can you add value to the business? But detection of fraud, I don't know in what context. I don't know if you can explain a little bit. Hello, Mr. Gbadebo. Right. So I will just answer the first question, right? So the first question is how can you add value to the business as a business analyst, right? So like I said earlier, how you can add value is as a business analyst, you are a problem solver, right? You solve business problems that pertain to business processes, that also pertains to strategic needs or information technology, right? So nobody in an organization would do that. So an organization that has been doing a manual process of, let's say, the accounting processes has been manual. It is the job of the business analyst to understand that this needs, that there should be a solution to the needs. Right, the needs will be reported by the people carrying out those jobs, but it is a work of a business analyst to look for solution that can satisfy the issues or the problem that has been identified. Right. So then it's also the work of the business analyst to also guide how that solution will be implemented to satisfy the issues that have been raised or the opportunities. Right. So that is one of the ways that a business analyst can add value in an organization. I don't know if that answers your question, Adeolu Gbadebo. Are you there? Okay. All right. So, Mr. Femi, so I think we should call it a day till next class, right? So this same time next week, we'll have our second class. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.